All right, now we get into a discussion that is more viable lately, and that is insurance, especially for those in the informal sector. And now, with the liberalization of Uganda's economy, government's position is currently supervisory and regulatory for major sectors. That is the insurance sector inclusive as well. And Uganda's insurance industry is run by the private entities as of now. 134 licensed players as of 2023, according to the Insurance Regulatory Authority. And just a breakdown here includes that there is a minimum paid up capital requirements for a reinsurance company, around 10 billion Ugandan shillings. Then life insurance or non-life insurance company goes for around 4 billion. Life insurance company, 3 billion Ugandan shillings. These are some of the minimum paid up capital requirements by the Insurance Regulatory Authority. Now, as we speak of insurance right now, and as a matter of fact that we are rotating around the informal sector, just yesterday, Monday morning, in Chisenyi, there was a fire outbreak that cost businesses a lot. Losses, property destroyed. The bigger question was, however, is that do these people have insurance covers that will be taking them over, or don't they have any issue to do with minding about insurance? And joining us this evening to discuss more about this, we do have Mr. Emmanuel Sanyu Safali, who is the insurance consultant with Britain Insurance Uganda. Many thanks for joining us. Good evening, sir.
Good evening to you. How are you, Gerald?
I'm all right. I hope your day is moving on well.
Yeah. It has been a busy day.
Yeah.
Been lecturing
Okay.
and sensitizing people. I'm generally an insurance advocate.
All right.
Yes, much as my principal is Britain Insurance for
Okay.
general insurance,
Yeah.
and that's the discussion we want to discuss.
Okay.
I also have a program that is trying to advocate for a transformation, mindset change,
Especially around insurance.
especially around insurance and
Okay.
embracing insurance.
Okay.
Yeah,
Now
thank
that
you.
gives us a lot more of the questions that we're going to ask.
Yes, sir.
And briefly, for the business community, what does insurance really mean to them? And why should they need to understand? What should they understand more about insurance?
All right. Insurance is actually about transferring risks.
Okay.
Many businesses only think about insurance when they're taking out loans, and the financiers demand that, we have to insure the collateral that they're bringing in.
Okay.
Sure, after clearing the loan and servicing the loan, that they forget about insurance. So
Okay.
many times they are forced. They feel that they are just compelled
Okay.
to take on insurance, and forgetting that the financier, the bank, the microfinance actually is forcing you to take out insurance for their selfish reasons.
Okay.
They actually want to safeguard the capital that they're giving to you,
Okay.
because they know you're human.
Okay.
Error is to human.
And
Anything can happen.
Yes.
And should anything happen, they just run straight to the insurance company. They say that some fire gutted here at Owino
Okay.
or at Chisenyi.
Okay.
Then they get compensated,
Okay.
especially for the loan outstanding.
All right.
The challenge I have with some financial institutions is they don't provide the policy documents
Okay.
to these business owners, especially the SME sector. So to you, the SME sector,
Okay.
I request you to actually demand for those policy documents.
And
thank
now,
you.
for instance, if we are to look at the issue here to do with insurance, for example,
Yes, sir.
now the business community in the country is pretty much, for example, when you look at the formal sector, at least many of the people in the corporate, or what we would say the corporate world, do
Yes.
understand the importance of insurance and why someone needs an insurance cover and why a company needs one. So what should these businesses under the small and medium-sized enterprises do to ensure that they get insurance covers?
Insurance is protection.
Okay.
So how do you have an asset or you have invested in any business? It's just like having an askari. As I talked about the corporate entities,
Yes.
they always embrace having security guards because they have invested huge amounts of money.
Yes.
The askari has to be there. Whether a risk happens or not, you will have to pay him. So, but the challenge I have with our community is a cultural, maybe challenge. Some of us,
They are biased towards
there's a
insurance.
bias,
Okay.
but sometimes it's just also maybe the level of development.
In the country.
We are still, where we are as a country,
Okay.
is where, let's say, England or the developed countries were about 200 years ago.
So we are moving at a slower pace than
Very
we were.
slow pace.
Okay.
And we still have cultural challenges.
Okay.
Some people think that when you insure an item, it's bad luck. An item is that risk is going to happen. Yeah.
Okay.
So we have to change this cultural mentality.
Okay.
If you have an asset and you have some shareholders, you must have people who have invested into that business.
Okay.
They really must task you to insure that business. Because the cost of insurance, as I'm going to explain later with some examples that I did in the past for business insurances,
Okay.
you will see that the cost vis-a-vis the risk we are covering as the insurance company
Okay.
is so low.
Okay.
Yes, because the frequency may not be as much.
Before
But
we
should it happen,
Uh,
the catastrophe can be disastrous.
Okay, sorry to cut you short.
Thank
Before
you.
we go into that illustration briefly, I need to understand how inclusive are these. You did mention that maybe the issue with us is our level of development is not as fast as the world is currently.
Yeah.
So we're like 100 years back in some of the sectors, not the entire sector, or maybe in the kind of the things we do, or in our corporate world. But how inclusive are the insurance plans for the SMEs? Let's now look at the SMEs. Do we have inclusive plans? For example, the insurance companies in Uganda, do they have plans set for those under the SME sector?
Joram, thank you for that question.
Okay.
With all sincerity, I should say the insurance companies are ready to take on this kind of businesses, whether
Alright.
SME,
Okay.
whether the actual corporate businesses,
Okay.
the large scale. Yes, as a population, we have moved slowly to embrace insurance, but the insurance companies have actually tried to bridge that gap. They have moved faster. They're trying to provide solutions, world-class solutions,
Okay.
even in our environment and cultural setup. So the products are there, the information is there. We're trying to do sensitizations, but again, it comes to now the consumer.
Okay.
What is their cultural belief around safeguarding their assets?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, briefly, as we get the illustration for the viewers to see, take us through what you were actually saying about the illustrations about the risks attached to insurance and how to get into the space.
Okay. You see, every business is different.
Okay.
And we know that majority of the business owners don't own the assets or the premises.
Okay.
Initially, the traditional insurance most companies used to do, and which maybe about 10 years ago, it used to lock out many traders because they did not own premises, because it used to be tied to a trader who has premises, owns their premises. But then the providers have now come up and realized that these solutions have to be premised on the stock of the clients.
So that is exactly what we.
So this is an illustration
Okay.
of what we call an enterprise package,
Okay.
comprehensive package for any business, whether it's a fuel station, whether it's a supermarket, a shop, a bar, a pharmacy, name it. This illustration was based on a figure of say 500 million. Now, where do you get that 500 million? Of course, I'm also going to show you, we can use an example of say 50 million. Usually for the SME sector, the value usually is capped to about 50 million, because we have to also take care of the minimum premiums that the insurance company can accommodate.
Okay.
But how do we get to that? As you will notice, I've put it there on the first section, what we call maximum stock level.
Okay.
So any business, we know you must have a store.
Okay.
So whatever you're renting, whatever business you're in, whether you're in shoes, whether you're in selling maize meal,
Yes.
the traders like what has happened in Chiseni, name it, you must have the stock, you must quantify it. What's the maximum liability that you can have at any one time, should anything happen to your business?
Yes.
Whenever you have closed,
what are you going to lose?
What are you going to lose? What are you bound to lose, especially for your stock? But we look at that section under that Britain package that we mentioned. We're looking at, of course, business. As you said, we assume you're renting. Fixtures and fittings, we assume about 10% of the business value.
Okay.
Because we believe any business must have furniture, must have some assets, whether computers, whether laptops, name it. You must have some tenants, fixtures and fittings, at least 10% of the business value. So that has to be also taken care of under the fire element.
So
now,
in addition to that, when you look at the kind of business, I've seen the figures that you've actually mentioned. That means at least if for someone to fit into, for example, an insurance cover, they should present all that information or part of it.
we are solution providers.
Okay.
We have made research and realized the risks that we present are more or less what a business would be interfaced with.
Okay.
So a business, of course, we look at the main risk, which is the fire and a lead perils. A lead perils means all other risks that will that will cause total loss.
Yes.
So even a flood, much as it is water, can cause total loss for a business and your stock. Yeah. It could be an earthquake. We have seen in Turkey what has happened. Actually, some business traders are suffering as a result of what happened in Turkey. Some of them actually are still stuck there.
Yes.
And it can, okay, maybe we're insulated as Africa, we have not suffered these huge earthquakes that can cause major catastrophes. But when you learn history, when you go in deeply or briefly about the history of insurance, you realize, like from San Francisco in the USA, insurance began getting traction and with reinsurers, and there are bigger nests that help such catastrophes be resolved very quickly and for people to get back into business very quickly.
Yeah.
But without these kind of mechanisms, we are going to remain in a very poverty kind of mindset, because once a disaster hits, a calamity hits, an incident hits, you're just one incident away from bankruptcy and you can't easily bounce back. But if you have insurance, you have embraced, and with an example we shall share here, you realize that such a business can easily bounce back within 1 month, 1 week, depending on the issue that has happened.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
And now let's look at how do you react to the public fear over hardships in claiming insurance? Because some of the Ugandan business community feel like, no, it's just like putting my money into something that is not going to get back. The business community always love profits.
Okay, thank you. This is again another mindset change.
Okay.
Because if I've calculated for you the premium of a business worth 500 million, we have shown you that you are covering stock worth say 450 million.
Okay.
We have covered burglary. I mean, if they break into your shop and steal items, we are covering at least about 10% of the business value there.
Yes.
Because they can't steal everything at the same time. We have covered goods in transit, because we believe you have some orders that you take, you deliver to your clients, and they can get damaged on the way.
Okay.
You can get about 10% of the business value. You're covering money is also in the premises. Both money in the premises and money in transit after work hours. That is also a risk.
Okay.
You're looking at a risk of your workers. You should also cover your workers, both at the workplace and outside of the workplace.
Yeah.
On their way home and on their way to work.
Okay.
They are suffering border accidents and all that. So we have what we call group personal accidents combined with workman's compensation.
Okay.
And it's actually a minimum requirement. So when you look at all those costs, we're actually covering the value of almost 900 million for the example we went back.
Oh, okay.
And you find that the premium involved for the whole year is going to be about 4 million, you know. But the solution we provided as insurers, because we know this can be a serious cost on many businesses, so rather than you paying that premium at once, we can embrace what we call premium financing.
Okay.
So there are financial institutions that we have gotten partnership with, so that they pay these premiums,
Yes.
at least 10 monthly installments, at a small interest of about 8% per annum.
Okay, lastly in a minute, Do you envision an increase in the demand for insurance moving forward in the next few years? Do you think the business community will now buy the idea of insurance?
The business community and the general population can only embrace insurance if the insurers, the insurance industry, the insurance fraternity comes out to give them confidence of what they have done before and who they are and what they stand for. Do they really want to see transformation to their clients?
Yes.
Or are they just collecting premiums? You mentioned an issue of claims. Any insurance company is in the business of paying claims. So whenever you're interfacing with any insurance company, the first question to ask is, what is your promise in terms of paying the claims?
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay.
How soon? So whenever you get a contract and an incident has happened,
Yes.
what is the turnaround time?
Okay.
How long do the investigations take?
All right.
Yeah? So if an insurance company tells you that for claims below 10 million, we're going to pay you in 3 working days, 2 working days, that is something, a good starting point. But if it's going to take beyond 1 month, then that is a cause for worry.
Okay.
Yeah? So these are just some of the scenarios that can happen whenever something's like
Just
that
in
can
case
happen.
someone else
Yeah?
sure.
Of course, this was in a disaster hit-prone area, but it can easily also happen in any community, and you have to prepare for it.
And many thanks for joining us, Mr. Emmanuel Sanyu Safali. And of course, due to time, I think this is a discussion that does not look like it goes to bed anytime soon.
Yes.
But of course, for all of you, you will definitely get into more discussions and understanding about insurance with Mr. Emmanuel here, who does more of that via online, and you can definitely understand insurance better. And for the business community, it's something that you should as well be part of. Of course, Mr. Emmanuel Sanyu Safali from Britain Insurance has been taking us through discussions regarding insurance, especially in the informal sector. Business Today will take a break now, but we'll return with more business reports. Stick around.